In broad daylight, on a deserted road, a terrified scream shattered the silence. "Help, thieves!" A young woman collapsed by the roadside, tears mixing with fear and pain. Her handbag was gone, snatched away by two reckless men, speeding off into the distance. It seemed like everything was lost, until a woman appeared out of nowhere. She wasn't a police officer, nor a relative, just an ordinary passerby. But that woman, Cam, didn't hesitate for a second. She ran straight into danger to save another person's life. Later, she recounted what had happened. She was on her way home after harvesting persimmons when she saw two strange men violently struggling with a young woman. Something didn't feel right, she said. Without thinking twice, she shouted and sprinted toward them, grabbing the girl and pulling her out of the attacker's reach. Startled, the two men jumped on their motorbike and sped away, leaving their victim trembling, scraped, and terrified in the middle of the empty road. Without hesitation, Cam helped the young woman sit down by the roadside, gave her a bottle of water, and with shaking hands, called the Trung Truk police station to report the emergency. Within minutes, Officer Nam and his team arrived. Kneeling beside the victim, his voice was calm but urgent. "She's injured her legs, badly swollen. We need to get her to the clinic right away." He quickly gave orders. "Hugh, take her to the medical post first. We'll check the security cameras from nearby houses to track them down." The young woman sobbed, her voice trembling. "They took all my money. Everything I worked for this month." Sitting beside her, Cam gently held her hand and said softly, "Money can be earned again, dear. What matters is you're still alive. That's the real blessing." Her tone was calm, but her eyes still carried the weight of fear and empathy. Officer Nam turned to her and nodded gratefully and said, "Go home and rest. We'll handle it from here. Thank you, not everyone would have stepped in like you did." She smiled faintly and replied, "When you see something wrong and stay silent, what's left of your conscience?" That night, the wind was still cold, but the light from a single street lamp reflected off her face, radiating a quiet warmth that no one could ignore. A small act, yet powerful enough to stir even the most hardened hearts. Because in a world so full of indifference and temptation, there are still people like Cam, brave, kind, and willing to help even when danger is close. And this story, we share it not just to admire, but to remind everyone that good people are always around us, if only we choose to believe, to see, and to act. If you were moved by Cam's brave and compassionate act, please take a second to like and share this video to spread kindness even further. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to keep following more heartfelt, real-life stories. Stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things in the quiet corners of everyday life. Because sometimes it's the smallest light of kindness that shines brightest in the darkest night. That evening, after helping the injured girl, Cam returned home with her 6-year-old daughter, little Joai, a bright, lively, and well-behaved child. The village road stretched quietly under the golden sunset, carrying the faint scent of dry straw and damp soil. As soon as they reached the yard, Cam didn't rest. She rolled up her sleeves and grabbed a bundle of netting she had left by the wall. There were so many chickens from next door. "Yesterday, they tore up my whole patch of mustard greens again," she muttered, while hammering bamboo stakes into the ground. Little Zoai darted around, holding a roll of string, occasionally asking Mom, "Do Do you think the chickens know they did something wrong? The innocent question made Toucam laugh. No, sweetie. That's why we have to build a fence, so our veggies can grow in peace. The soft thunk-thunk of the hammer mixed with the rustling of young leaves in the wind, creating a rhythm of calm and life. It was an ordinary moment, yet it carried a rare sense of peace after such a turbulent day. As she worked, Toucam looked up at the fading light of dusk, feeling a quiet relief wash over her. Suddenly, the sound of a motorbike stopped outside the gate. She looked up to see Officer Nam, the policeman, who had handled the robbery case that morning, walking in with a bottle of water in his hand. He smiled warmly and said, "Hello, Toucam. I was passing by and thought I'd stop to see if you and the little one are doing okay." Officer Nam said as he stepped into the yard. Toucam wiped her hands and poured him a cup of tea. "Please have some green tea, I just brewed it." He sat down, his expression softening with a hint of thoughtfulness. "You did something really brave today," he said quietly. "Everyone's talking about it. I came by to thank you personally, not on official business." The air grew lighter. Little Zoe, curious as ever, peeked out from behind her mother and asked shyly, "Uncle Policeman, did you catch the bad guys yet?" Nam chuckled warmly. "Not yet, sweetheart. But we're looking for them. And honestly, it's thanks to good people like your mom that we can do our job better." Toucam smiled gently. Outside, the last rays of the afternoon sun glinted off the newly fixed garden fence, a simple net that shimmered like a mirror protecting the vegetable patch and reflecting the quiet peace she was slowly building for her family. Later that afternoon, in a small room at Trung Truc Commune Clinic, the air smelled faintly of antiseptic. A ceiling fan creaked rhythmically above. The young woman, the robbery victim, sat curled up on the bed, her face pale, her legs swollen and red. Beside her, Officer Nam, who had been at the scene, stood silently watching, his gaze firm yet full of compassion. He nodded to the medic on duty, then turned to Toucam, his tone low and sincere. "It's lucky you were there when you were. If you hadn't stepped in, things could have been much worse. Those guys were really dangerous." Toucam exhaled slowly, her hands still trembling slightly. "At that moment, I didn't think about anything else. I just knew I had to help her. Seeing them drag her like that, I couldn't just stand there and do nothing." Nam nodded again, reaching into his pocket for a small notebook. Flipping to a fresh page, his voice turned firm, steady, and professional once more. "All right, here's the situation," Nam said calmly. "You don't have to worry for now. We'll handle this case, but we need solid evidence first. Everything happened so fast, and there weren't any full witnesses. We'll take the victim's statement and check all the security cameras around the area. If we're lucky, we might be able to figure out whether the suspects are locals or outsiders." He paused for a moment, his tone dropping lower. "Cases like this are tough. Sometimes they ride bikes with no plates, faces covered. But no matter how hard it gets, we're not letting them get away." Toucam nodded, her eyes filled with quiet trust. "Please help that poor girl. Once you catch them, people around here can finally feel safe again. Everyone's been so scared lately. There've been too many cases like this." Nam looked out the window where the last bit of sunlight poured through and nodded slowly. "You're right. Lately, we've seen a few small groups stirring up trouble, snatching bags, disturbing the peace. We've been tracking them, but they're sneaky. They always pick empty roads late afternoons or after dark." Turning back to her, his voice firm but kind, he said, "Listen, 2, Cam from now on. Be careful. Okay, don't walk alone on those quiet stretches of road. Wait for someone to go with you if you can. I know you're not the type to scare easily, but you've got to be cautious. You usually go out early and come back late from harvesting the persimmons, right? That's exactly the kind of time they like to strike." She smiled faintly, her tone gentle yet steady. "Don't worry, I'll be careful. I've heard about a few incidents lately, so I'm extra cautious now. My house is in a quiet spot far from the village. Not many people pass by. It's only when I have to go out to the fields or the main road to harvest that I worry. But I'll remember what you said, Officer Nam." Nam gave a small nod, then stood up and slipped his dark green police jacket back on. His eyes lingered on the window, where the last streaks of sunlight were fading away. He spoke slowly, his tone steady, more like a promise than a statement. "Don't worry, ma'am. We'll see this through. We can't let those guys keep running wild." The room fell silent. The wind rustled softly through the open window, and the ticking of the wall clock grew louder in the stillness. Out in the yard, the injured girl was getting her wounds, bandaged her face, still pale with fear, but her eyes calmer now, reassured by the people standing around her. Cam looked over, a quiet sense of relief washing through her. She didn't know how the story would end, but at least she had done the right thing. And somewhere in a dark corner of the Trung Truk commune, the 2 robbers had no idea the net was slowly closing in. That evening, as the last golden light spread across her little garden, Officer Nam returned to Cam's house. Gone was the stern look of a man on duty. In its place was the warmth of a kind neighbor. Seeing her struggling with a roll of wire mesh, he smiled and said, "Let me give you a hand. At this rate, you'll still be here by nightfall." Cam chuckled softly. "All right then. Help me drive in a few stakes to make it sturdy. The neighbor's chickens have been tearing up my vegetable patch again." Nam rolled up his sleeves and grabbed the hammer, driving each nail in with steady, sure swings. The 2 worked in perfect rhythm, she measured. He hammered, while little Zoe stood nearby, holding the mesh, giggling and giving instructions like a tiny engineer. Their laughter mixed with the sound of the hammer and the rustling of leaves, a rare, peaceful moment after such a tense morning. As the fence neared completion, Nam pointed toward 2 old withered grapefruit trees in the corner of the yard. "These trees probably won't bear much fruit anymore," he said. "Let me chop them down. It'll open up the space and keep the chickens from sneaking in." Cam nodded. Nam picked up the axe each swing, echoing through the quiet late afternoon. When the last tree finally came down, the faint scent of sap filled the air, and a soft breeze swept through, making the whole garden feel brighter. A little while later, the fence was done, the wire stretched tight, and even enclosing the lush green vegetable patch. Cam looked at their work and smiled with relief. "Well, that's a weight off my shoulders. No more chickens tearing up the garden." Nam brushed off his hands and sat down on the porch step, teasing lightly. "All done, huh? I should head back before I get called in for more work at the station. Guess today I managed to do both, investigate a case and help out a neighbor's farm." Little Zoe ran up, waving energetically. "Are you leaving, Uncle Nam? Bye-bye, Uncle," she chirped, grinning wide. Nam laughed, bent down, and patted her on the head. "All right, sweetheart. Be good, listen to your mom, and don't wander outside alone. There are still a few bad guys out there." Then he turned to Toucan, his voice softening but serious. "You take care too. The roads get empty at night around here. If you see anyone unfamiliar, just stay away. What happened this morning was only part of the picture. We're still investigating a lot more." Toucan nodded, her gentle smile tinged with worry. "I know. I just hope they catch those men soon, so everyone in the village can feel safe again." Nam stood up and glanced around the garden one last time, a look of quiet satisfaction crossing his face at the sight of the new fence. "All right, I'll get going. Big day tomorrow. Take care of yourself, okay?" His motorbike started up, its hum fading slowly down the dirt road bathed in sunset light. Little Ziai stood at the gate, waving until his figure disappeared behind the line of trees. In the yard, Toucan quietly tidied up, getting ready to make dinner. The smell of wood smoke mixed with the freshness of just watered vegetables. Peace seemed to return after a long, turbulent day. Yet somewhere deep inside her, a faint unease lingered. The robbery might have been over, but the danger hadn't completely gone away.
Cơm áo món nợ chưa trả.